Hey guys, what's up? It's Scott here at Aspiria Fitness Center. I'm guiding you through today's mobility and more class. So I'm going to jump right back into frame and discuss briefly what we need for class, and then we're going to take it right away. So I hope you guys are ready to get a little mobility and a little bit of strength built up. So let's take it away. All we need today for class is going to be a mat and some bands today. So if you have a light dumbbell or any type of weight that you might want to use for just a few exercises during the strength block, go ahead and have that handy for yourself. You maybe would just use one dumbbell for some of these. We're just going to go for body weight. It is mobility and more, so we're really going to be more focused on just getting our body to do what it wants to do without that weight resistance, kind of a little bit of a break from our typical strength training with a lot of resistance. So feel free to grab one if you want, but just for the sake of this video on our behalf, we're just going to be using our body weight for most of this. So other than that, obviously I've got my mat here and my body. I've got my water bottle just in case you want some hydration. Then I have two bands here. I've got a longer loop band, and then I've got one of the small mini bands. So we'll bounce back and forth between a couple of these. So if you have those, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have that, you can use a towel or a t-shirt, something else handy that you can pull on will be helpful for some of these. So other than that, we're going to jump right into it here. Not too much to demo, so I think you guys will be okay. Just stick with me in the video here. We've got a dynamic mobility block that we'll run through twice. Then we've got a little bit of our strength block with a little bit more just basic movements in it, and then we'll do some static stretches to finish off. Everything is on a timer today. We've got 45 seconds for each stretch or mobility activity or strength block portion, and then we have 15 seconds to transition and get to the next block. So we'll adjust that timer if we need to. We might pause it at a few periods of time just to get going. So other than that, I hope you guys are ready to go. Like I said, grab your water if you need it. Fire up some music if you've got a playlist that you want to listen to. We're going to start right here on our mat, and we're doing our dynamic mobility block. We're going to take it right away. So our first one, once we get our timer ready, of course, here, is just going to be an overhead reach with the arms, and then a forward bend to our toes. So we use this fairly often as a cool down, but we're going to use it just to get a good stretch. So we can stretch up overhead, really drive shoulder blades and arms up overhead, and then we just bend forward and reach to our toes, and we're going to repeat that. So arms up out to the side, and then we just hinge forward. So we want to do our bend to be a hinge, right? Reaching down toward our toes, trying to keep our back flat and our knees from bending too much. So a little bit of bend is okay. We don't want to lock those knees out, but try and get a good stretch in the posterior chain during that reach down portion. So we're going to go ahead and start our timer here. You'll notice also, of course, I'm barefoot. You don't have to be barefoot. It's a little more comfortable for me. Whatever you like to do, whatever helps you feel comfortable at home in this video. So do what's right for you. We're going to start with that overhead reach. Feet are at shoulder width, hip width apart, and we're going to get ready to go. So our clock is ticking. We got 45 seconds. We reach up overhead, big breath in, and then as we exhale, we're reaching down to our toes. Get a big stretch. Feel that stretch in the hamstrings, and then we reach back up all the way overhead. Big stretch, opening up our ribs and shoulders, drive those shoulder blades up, and then as we fall forward, we're stretching out the hamstrings. Reach down toward your toes if you can make it. Otherwise, just get as close as you can. We're back up to the top, and we reach down, forward bend, soft bend at the knee, but we're really just reaching for those toes, and all the way back up. 10 seconds, let's make this our last one here before we move on. We got 5 seconds to reach down toward the toes, stretch it out for the last 2 seconds. And there's our timer. I'm going to turn that up so we can hear it a little better. But we are moving on to opposite toe touch. So we're still on our feet, still working on our lower body, but we're going to open it up and add some upper body in as well. So we are now in our wide base, opposite toe touch. Nice loud beat to start the round. So we're reaching down to that opposite toe. Don't forget to come all the way back to that X pattern in between each rep. So we're feeling it a little bit on our inner thigh now. Still getting some hamstring stretching in there as well. We're going to focus a lot today on hips and hamstrings, so hopefully you're going to feel that as we get through this block, but we're just keeping that opposite toe reach going, adding in a little bit of twist with our torso now, getting our core involved, getting that upper body involved as we twist that upper body to get our arm down there. We got 5 seconds, one more touch on each side, and then we'll move on to our next one here. So just working on this dynamic mobility. There's our next block. So we're going to stay in that position. We're gonna bring our feet in just a little bit, not quite as wide as we were maybe for that first one. This is called our Sumo Shift. So we're just in this position, toes externally rotated a little bit, and we're just gonna bend your lead knee on each leg here. So we're continuing to stretch the inner thigh a little bit, getting some of our quad muscle involved on the top as we bend that knee and extend back out of that position. So we're not going too deep here. Go as deep as you want, of course, but we're not going to do a full lateral lunge or really work on the lunge portion. We're just kind of opening up the hips, continuing to let our glutes and quads warm up a bit, and open up the inner thigh especially is where we'll feel, especially on this outstretched leg, we have that nice deep stretch. We're just shifting our weight back and forth, gently feeling those hips get loose. And we'll now bring our feet back to normal position here. We're going to give our lower body a break, and we're going to come up to our upper body, chest and torso. So now we have archer pulls where we start hands out in front and we're drawing our bow back like an archer, just like so. So we pull the bow back, then I want you to look back behind you and open up that palm. So we pull the bow back, and then we're going to reach back and twist and look back to your hand and then close the motion. So sticking with this whole motion on one side. So we really want to pull back. As we pull, we squeeze that shoulder blade. Keep it squeezed as we open up our elbow and palm and reach back. So we're twisting our whole body. Turn your neck and look back behind you as well. We're feeling that nice rotation in our chest. We will do this on both sides. So stick with that first side. Feeling our chest warm up, getting our mid, back, and spine loose here as well. We got one more pull before we switch sides. Great, so go ahead and shake those shoulders out, roll them out a little bit. We're repeating that same archer pull on the opposite side now. So we want to start with arms out in front. We pull back and get a big squeeze with the shoulder blade and then open the palm like so. There we are, ready to go. We're pulling, big squeeze as we draw that bowstring back, and then we're opening up our elbow, showing our palm, turn back to look for it, and then close the whole motion. So big squeeze, open up your elbow, and go all the way back. So we really want to focus on the squeeze and the pull, guiding that shoulder blade back into position in between each rep. And open it up if we can. If you don't have that range of motion, if we're feeling tightness or pain, we can stop that. At least get the big draw of the bowstring that we're pulling on and squeezing that shoulder blade back. We got 10 seconds. We got one or two more all the way through. Opening up for that full extension and twist. And see what we can get for our last one. Great job. Go ahead and shake those arms out. Roll our shoulders here. We're going to finish up our shoulders one more time here before we move back to our lower body. We're going to get our larger glute band now. So we have pull aparts. So we want to just hold the band, palms up to the sky. Thumbs are going to be facing outward, and then we pull on the band and drive our thumbs back behind us. So we keep our elbows tucked in at our side, and so we're really just keeping those palms facing up, driving the thumbs back. So right now they're pointing away from each other, and we hope to get them out so that they're pointing back towards you. We don't get a ton of range of motion here, but they should be pointing back behind you kind of a little bit as you pull the band apart. But we're working on these rotator cuff muscles. If we don't have the band, we're just doing this motion, of course, with nothing, where we can pull on a t-shirt or a towel. Anything to just gently pull apart will help you feel this. So feeling like we're getting the back of our shoulders, rotator cuff muscles warmed up a little bit. It won't take too much. They're a little bit smaller muscle groups, so it doesn't take much to get them fired up. You'll feel it. So we're going to pause our timer just briefly, go into our next one here. A little bit of our tougher one for our dynamic mobility block. This is called an elephant walk. You'll have a little bit of difficulty maybe seeing my legs specifically because of the pants here, but we're going to be basically bent over in this flexed, hinged position here, and we're going to alternate, just driving, extending one knee and slightly bending the other knee. So we want to get into a nice position where we feel some tightness. We can have our hands right behind under our knees or behind our hamstrings there. We're just alternating through that whole time, slowly just extending the knee on opposite leg at a time. So trying to keep our back as flat as we can, alternating that position with our feet and legs. So we got about 5 seconds, so let's hinge forward, feet are at shoulder width, sinking our hips back, getting that nice flat back position there. So now it's going to be pretty tight for a lot of us. I have quite a bit of tightness in the hamstrings, so it doesn't allow me to do this perfectly well. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more range of motion through our second round through, but other than that, we're hinged as best we can at the hip, trying to keep our back as flat as we can, chest and shoulders nice and tall. We are just alternating, pumping one knee back behind you. Fully extending that leg, getting a good stretch on the straight leg as we alternate those positions, trying to stay flat as we can at the back, and keeping those knees pumping, so we're really starting to feel that stretch on the back of the hamstrings there. After this, we'll take it down to the mat for a few more before we repeat the whole round. Great, so we're gonna go flat on our back, give those hamstrings a break, so hopefully you're starting to feel something there. A little bit of tightness is okay, pretty common. If you can't get that full extension, something to work on. We will come back to that one more time to hopefully loosen up our hamstrings a little bit more. So next, we're gonna be flat on our back here. We're gonna do one leg at a time. We're gonna pull our knee up to our chest and then kind of roll to the side and kick and swoop the leg all the way out to the side. So that looks like this. We come knee up to our chest and then we're rolling that knee across our body, and then we're gonna kick and extend the whole leg and then come back to that position where we tuck. So it's like a tuck and then a big wide swooping motion with that hip, heel and toe all the way out to the side. And we're gonna repeat that through the whole round. So you'll hear our timer beep when we're ready to take it away. Opposite leg lays flat. So we pull the knee to your chest and then kick and swipe across the body before returning to the start. Make sure you get that toe pointed as best you can. Drive the knee up, and then as we rotate over, we're getting a little core involved as well, of course. Then we kick the leg, swoop all the way into extension, and come back to the knee tuck. "15 seconds to go here. We're getting a lot working here. Our core is working, still working on hips and hamstrings. Our hip flexor is involved a little bit here as we draw that knee up to our chest as well. Getting a lot of working on our lower body here for this mobility session. Great job. We're staying right where we are. All you gotta do is the other knee. So now we pull. I'm gonna be kicking away from the camera now. Big swoop out to the side and tuck. Just like so. We hear the beep in about 3 seconds. We're ready to go. Opposite leg, tuck, and a big swooping kick back to normal extension, and then tuck the knee again. Great job. This one should feel good on our lower back. We're getting a little bit of lumbar rotation as well. Do your best with that big swooping kick if we're limited with our range of motion in our low back. We can just stick with the knee tuck as well if we need to. Hopefully we can get some of that rotation and extension at the leg and the other joints there, extending the hip and the knee as we swoop and kick over. So keep that going as best you can. Just a few more seconds here. One more big kick and swoop all the way out and around, and relax. Great. We are finishing in the seated position for round one with a butterfly stretch. So we're seated on the mat. We're really finishing with our inner thigh and glutes here. So for our butterfly stretch, we pull those feet together, and now we're going to squeeze our glutes to really force our knees down at our side here. We can lean forward into it a little bit. And we can either, you have options here, you can squeeze at the knee, push the knees down and squeeze our glutes, lean forward and try and hold it, or you can do some little 3 to 5 second squeezes and holds, and then relax, and really continue trying to drive those knees. We might be a little shaky, that's those glutes and adductors working against each other. We want to squeeze the glutes and really force the knees down. Hopefully yours are going farther than mine. Relax it if you need to, and keep squeezing the glutes to drive those knees down. Relax. We got one more big 5-second squeeze here before the end of the round. 2, 1, and relax. Great. So we should have been feeling that butterfly, stretching on the inner thigh once again, and we're using those glutes to really squeeze and drive our knees down to the floor. So we're going to start that whole portion all the way at the top again. So we're hopefully going to be a little bit more loose this time, a little bit more range of motion on all these movements. Hamstrings are waking up a little bit, hips feeling better as well. So back up on our feet with our overhead reach, big arch out to the side, big breath in to stretch and open our rib cage, shoulder blades up to the sky, big stretch everywhere, then we blow all of our air out, down to our toes. Clock is ticking, so we're here, big stretch up overhead, big breath in, and then we hinge forward, sink your hips back through the wall behind you, reach down to those toes, stretch the hamstrings and glutes, posterior chain, and then we breathe in all the way back up. Fill your lungs, open up your rib cage, and blow the air out all the way down to your toes. Trying to stay as flat as we can, straight legs as best you can. A little bend as the knee is okay, but we want to get those hamstrings stretched out. Big breath up and over, hinge down toward the mat, touching toes as best you can. Hopefully you're getting there or you're closer now than you were before. One last time, all the way up, 5 seconds, blowing our air out and reaching to the toes. Good, okay, so we are back to opposite toe touch. So we take this wide base next with our feet here. We're pretty wide and we have our arms in this kind of X position here. So now we're still working on lower body, twisting our torso as well. Clock is ticking, so reaching down to the opposite toe. Don't forget to come all the way back in that X position. Big squeeze, the shoulder blades at the back. Getting some twisting involved now as well at our mid back and shoulders. Full body involvement here now that we've got our upper and lower body working. We're returning to that big X pattern. After every rep, standing up nice and tall, reach toward the toes. Hopefully you can get there now or get really close. We've been working on this hamstrings and hips for one round now, so we're getting a little bit better. Maybe we'll be there by the end of this block here before we go for that strength block. Okay, there's a break again. We're coming back. Bring those feet in just a little bit. We're still in our wide base here. We're wider than hip width, not quite as wide as we were before. Now we're just going to do that sumo shifting here as well. Hear our beat. Good. So now we're driving on that lead knee, still feeling a stretch on the inner thigh a little bit there. Getting some ankle flexion as well as we keep that foot planted on our bent knee side here. Getting our quad warmed up, as well as just general hip activity that we're still working through here. So we got our sumo shifts here. We'll come back to our upper body archer pulls once more here shortly after we get this going. Really working on the upper body, so we got a break for the lower body coming here. Not working too hard, but we are maybe fatiguing these quad muscles, especially a little bit on this one. Feeling the stretch, feeling the hips get loose. Good, and we can bring those feet back to our normal width, shoulder width apart here. We've got our archer pull next, so hands start out in front of you. We're pulling that bowstring back, driving the elbow, driving the shoulder blade, and turning to look back behind us. All right, ready to go. So we make a big pull, squeeze the shoulder blade, squeeze the elbow back, and then turn back to look as we open up that elbow, and then bring it all the way back to the starting position. So we're getting those mid-back muscles activated here, big squeezes. We're gonna keep our shoulders down as well, away from our ears, so really squeezing, working on those lower and mid traps, big squeeze. Drive the elbow back and close. 10 seconds, let's get 1 or 2 more all the way through the cycle. Big pull, squeezing elbow and shoulder blade, open up that elbow and palm, all the way back. Last big squeeze, there we are. So open it up, we got one more, finish it all the way through, good. So shake the arms out, chest out. We're doing the same thing on the other side. So archer pulls on the other arm. Don't forget to lead with that shoulder blade and elbow, big squeeze back before we open it up if you can. If you've got that ability to open up, good range of motion, go ahead and open and twist. Do your best otherwise. See if you can incorporate that twist in throughout the motion as we get more mobile here. Hopefully you can already get that there. Doing our best just for the bowstring pull portion, if not. And don't forget, we're looking, twisting, dropping that shoulder all the way back. Follow your hand with your eyes all the way back and all the way back forward. So we're getting some good rotation on our neck, shoulders, and mid-back here. Big squeeze in the shoulder blade and elbow all the way back. We got 5 seconds to get one more full squeeze and extension. Right there, great job. We're gonna get our large glute band again for our pull aparts. And remember, you can use a towel or anything. If you have nothing, just do your palms and drive the thumbs back behind you. Otherwise, we're holding onto a glute band, towel, small glute band, anything you've got. Palms up to the sky, thumbs outward. Drive the elbows drive the thumbs back, keep your elbows tucked at your torso. So we're only rotating within the shoulder joint there, getting those little rotator cuff muscles really fired up here, strengthening them, waking them up a bit here. So again, palms stay up to the sky, thumbs should start pointing away from each other, end up kind of pointing back behind you. We won't get a ton of range of motion, so they're not going fully behind you, but that's the goal. And we keep these elbows tucked into our sides, so big squeezes. Feeling the back of our shoulders, maybe fatigue a little bit. Small muscles, easy to fatigue. We got 5 seconds, 1 or 2 more big squeezes. Last pull, drive those thumbs apart, and relax. Great job. We are dropping the band. We're going back to our elephant walk. This is our tougher one for the hamstrings. So hinging forward as best you can. Soft bend at the knee is okay. Flat back. Support yourself anywhere on your legs that you like, and we're just alternating. Opposite knee extending, one knee is bending. So keeping tension on the hamstrings by keeping our back as flat as we can, chest as tall as we can. Elephant walk, really forcing that hamstring to stretch on the straight leg. Do your best. This is a tougher one. Hamstrings don't like it, but this is a great way to wake up these hamstrings if they're not very loose like I am. So we like to do this one here. Incorporate this in a couple times a week for a minute or so. Feel like those hamstrings will loosen up a little bit for you. You got 10 seconds. Keep driving that knee, pushing the knee back, get a full extension, stretching the hips and the hamstrings here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job. Back down on our mat, we'll do our knee tuck with the swooping kick. Once more on each, and then we've got our butterfly stretch before we start our strength block. So we're flat on our back here, ready to pull knee to our chest, and then swoop and kick out to the side, getting some of that good range of motion at the hip. So tuck for the hip flexor, rotate, a little bit of lumbar rotation, and then swooping kick to continue working these hip muscles, extending that hamstring group a little bit more. Once again, feeling that mobility come through. Make that big swooping kick as best you can. Don't forget to roll over, get that little bit of lumbar rotation in. Good, we're ready to switch to the other leg. Same idea, tuck the knee, get your hip flexor working, and then a big swooping, arching kick all the way around, and start back at the starting position. Arcing kick here. On the beep, we'll start our knee tuck, and then so we're tucking, roll a little bit, swoop and kick all the way out to the side. We're trying to keep the knee tucked as we start that swoop, and then as we kick across, we open up the leg and really kick with a straight leg as best we can. So we're getting extension at all the joints and a little bit of rotation. Making sure everything's working hard here. We're getting really loose. We got one more after this. We'll go through our strength block. Almost there. Last swooping kick. Get a big arc in there. Good. And we're going to finish our dynamic mobility block once more in our butterfly position. So bring those feet together, soles of our feet are touching. We're pulling our heels in as best we can. And now we're squeezing glutes to try and drive your knees down. We can squeeze the whole time or just do some reps, 5-second squeezes or so. Lean forward into it as you can as well. Main goal is to just squeeze the glutes so we drive those knees down to our sides. Hopefully you can get them laying flat. You see mine don't like to lay flat, but we're doing our best. Big squeeze and you'll feel them go down a little bit more. Keep working on it. Ten seconds to go. 1 or 2 more big squeezes of the glutes to drive those knees down. Last one. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great job. Grab a drink if you need it here. Take a quick break. We're going to go right into our strength block. Same idea, we've got 10 exercises we're going to go for. Same timer, we'll run through twice. We're going to start with a bodyweight squat. If you've got a weight that you want to add on for a little bit of resistance, go ahead. I'd recommend keeping it really light or just sticking with body weight for us today. Again, we are just working on a little bit of more mobility rather than the strength building. So you can add a little resistance if you like, but we want to just focus on the bottom of the squat. We've been opening up our hips and legs, so we want to just feel what it's like really owning the bottom portion of that squat and feeling what it feels like when we're in the bottom portion without any weight on us to really weigh us down. So we're starting right at the top, bodyweight squat, and here we go. Ready to start the timer in 3, 2, and 1. So we are squatting away. We're outside of hip width just a little bit. Toes are externally rotated, and we're sinking low before we stand up out of our squat. So we want to focus on the bottom portion here, driving knees outward, feeling what it feels like when we're in that bottom portion way at the bottom of the squat. Adjust your foot position and find what's right for you. The width of your feet as well as how much toe out is going to be dependent on your body. So feel around using this time to do those bodyweight squats. Find a good stance for you. Feel what works for your body. Hopefully we're sinking real low. We feel that inner thigh and knees and glutes all working at the bottom of that. Great job. So we're going to go into inchworms now for the hamstrings. So just like our elephant walk, we're hinging forward, keeping our back and chest as flat as we can. We're walking out for our inchworm. So all we do is just walk out and walk back in. So we're inching all the way out as best we can here to that tall plank. And then we're going to walk back, trying to keep our legs straight here for that inchworm portion. We are stretching hamstrings and low back as best you can. So keep it straight, do your best. Drive all the way up and reset. So we're going to start getting a little bit of looser here from these movements. This is more of our strength blocks, so a little bit tougher hamstrings. Upper body's working hard for these inchworms, walking all the way out into that tall plank. Core is starting to work hard as well, and we're really feeling it in the hamstrings and the back of the legs there. Last inchworm, walk it out and relax. Good. So we're going to drop right onto our knees here for our next movement, which is tall plank with a rotation. So we're going to be locking in that tall plank position. So we're on we're on palms and toes, and we're going to hold that tall plank and twist up to the sky on alternating arms. Working on more rotation. If the rotation is too much today, we just want to work on the tall plank, working on holding that core position, building core strength. Mix in a rotation if you think you can. No pressure to add that, just do your best. Keep rotating. If we're fatiguing from the rotation, if it's too much for our chest, we just want to hold tall plank and finish it out here. A little bit of core and full body, upper body strengthening, even just holding the tall plank. 2 seconds, finishing strong. Good. We are going to do a leg lift combo next with a sit up on the top. So we're going to have legs and arms fully outstretched with this here. So we're just lifting your leg, and then we're going to rest legs down and then sit up and drive your arms up overhead. If you've got a weight that you want to use for the sit-up portion, you can do that as well. But we're just going to focus on pulling arms up overhead and then sit down. Reverse the whole movement. Back to a leg lift, straight leg as best you can. And then the sit-up portion at the top. Working on hip flexors and core. It may help you to have a little counterweight in your hands, and that's okay. Try not to overdo it. We're really just focused on the leg lifting portion and just the crunch or sit up. So if the sit up is too much, just go for a little crunch at the top and then go back to the leg lift. Great job. That one was a fast one. Felt like it, right? And so we're gonna pause for just a second. Now we can incorporate our loop band in for a couple of these. If you have the small loop band, we're just gonna do a classic bridge on the back on our mats here. So if you've got a small loop band that you want to put around your knees for a little bit of extra resistance for the glutes, you can do so. I'm going to leave it off for my bridge. We will come back to one more of these that I will use the loop band for, but if you've got a loop band and you want to use it, go right ahead. and get that situated on your knees. Other than that, we are flat on our back in classic bridge position, just like so. So we are squeezing core and glutes to lift up out of here. If we have a band, our knees are being pulled inward, so we definitely want to focus on driving the band outward. If we don't have the band, that's okay. We're still driving knees out and focused on the big squeeze from our glutes and our core. We're just going for easy bridge reps here, working on our lower body. If you've got the band, you've added it in, you're doing some extra work, that is great. Keep those glutes working hard. Either way, big squeezes, belly button's tucked in, core's working hard. We're really focused on a flat core and big squeezes from the glutes as we lift up here. Last rep, squeeze and relax. Great job. We're gonna go back to our upper body portion here, where we're gonna work on next the eccentric portion of a push-up, or just the lowering portion of push-ups today. So great way to build upper body strength. Feel what our shoulders and back muscles are doing during that movement. So if you're feeling like really pushing it today and taking just a round of regular push-ups, please go right ahead and do so. Other than that, we start in tall plank, and we're just lowering our chest to the ground, and then we'll reset at the top. So working on just a slow, again, lowering portion, lower your body, feel what our chest and shoulder blades are doing, and then you can just get back to your knees and reset it. So 3 or 4 seconds on the way down, really feeling like our chest muscles and our back muscles are really working. We're noticing what they're doing, feeling our elbow position, and just slowly lowering it. So a little bit different from a regular push-up. And of course, we can take this from our knees, slowly lower, and then just reset your push-up at the top and slowly lower. 3 or 4 seconds. Feeling our back muscles work really hard on the way back down. We're back to the traditional push-up if you can. Slowly lowering. We got 4 seconds, so let's get one more in. Nice and slow, all the way till we hear the beat. Good, and relax it. We are going to bring our loop band in now. Putting that back on if we can, so we pause our timer just briefly. And we'll have these right at the knee again. We're gonna do clamshells for our hips today. So we've got our loop band back on. We've got it right about the knee position. For our clamshell, we just lay on our side. And we're driving knee up against the band, so very small movement. We will feel it in the hip, I promise. If we have no band, totally okay. Just lifting the knee up into the air against gravity. So gravity is your resistance if you have no band. Otherwise, we're working on stretching the band, feeling it right on the outside of the hip. It's tougher than you might think. We'll probably fatigue pretty quickly, so feeling those little our medial glutes are working really hard, stabilizing our hip and externally rotating our leg here. So 15 seconds. We're feeling that fatigue set in maybe a little bit, right? One more big squeeze. We're doing the same thing on the opposite side. So leave that band on if you got it. If you don't have the loop band, no problem. We are just going to shift over to the other side, and we're doing the same thing. So we're supporting ourselves on our lat here. Big, strong elbow and shoulder are stacked. Strong lat muscles working hard, and we are just pulling up against the band. Again, if we don't have the band, we're just working against gravity. Get a good squeeze for a second or two at the top against the band, or especially if we have no band, we're just going to hold that leg up there. Squeezing, we'll feel it right on the top side of the hip there. Keep squeezing. Got a couple more here. We'll finish up our first round of our strength block. We'll repeat once and then finish up with our stretches. Static stretching for the end of our session today. 3 seconds, one last clamshell, and relax. Great job. We are done with the band, so we're going to take that off. We'll come back to that in a little bit for our second round if we want it. We are up on our feet here. Next one here is alternating reverse lunges. A little bit of full body here. So we're going to do a reverse lunge, and we're twisting to that high knee side. So go as shallow or as deep as you want to with the reverse lunge here. You'll notice I'm doing it pretty shallow. It's more like a step back. So more focused on just what our feet are doing, a little bit of balance, and we're twisting that core to the high knee side there. So again, whatever knee is in the front, I'm twisting to that way like so. So especially if we're barefoot here on a softer surface, our balance will be challenged. So take that shallow step back, just get enough toe down to balance you, making our front leg work really hard to balance us. Full body there, good. That was a quick round again. And we're down on our mat to finish our first round of the strength block, alternating Superman lifts, or just you don't have to alternate. If you want to do a full Superman lift, you can do that, switching to opposite arm and leg if you must. So we're here, making sure we're squeezing shoulder blades and glutes to lift our body up off the ground rather than just arching our low back. Big squeezes, holding for 1 or 2 seconds at the top. If we want to alternate opposite arm and leg, that's great as well. Just working on the back posterior chain, squeezing really hard, trying to just avoid simply arching the back. So thinking about all the muscles that we're squeezing, getting them all to do what we want. Mind-muscle connection today, rather than really building up our resistance. So bring it back to the full Superman lift if you can. Great job. That's round 1 of our strength portion, or a little bit more strength-based movements anyway. So we're going to run through one more of those, and then another of our static stretching blocks. So grab a quick drink if you need it. Wipe any sweat if we're starting to build up a little sweat. We're not getting too sweaty today, but we might be sweating a little bit. So we're going to run through one more of our strength portion. Then we have our static stretching block, which is just one time through, holding some stretches to cool us off a little bit, but we're ready to go. One more time through at the top. So we're back to our bodyweight squats. Remember, we can load these if we want, but really more focused today on what our feet are doing, what are our ankles, what are our hips and knees doing. Feel that at the bottom of the squat and feel our legs really work to push out of that. So focus on owning the movement, mind-muscle connection rather than resistance. If you want to hold a little dumbbell, can't stop you, but let's just focus on what we're doing today. So we're going to start back at the top with our bodyweight squats in 3, 2, 1, and squat. So we are just a little bit wider than hip width, sinking into that squat. Get as low as we can go and then drive up out of that. Again, we're feeling what our inner thigh, glutes, and hips are all doing. Trying to keep our chest as tall as we can. We're finding our proper width for you. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, so find your best squat width and how much toe external rotation or toe out that we have. So I would use this time rather than using the weight, right? We're just exploring that. Feel what feels right for you in the bottom portion of that squat and help develop your perfect squat form. Got about 5 seconds, so sink 1 or 2 more, really low. Feel those hips, glutes really working hard, and relax. Good. We're back to our inchworm again. So starting to work on our posterior chain again, getting our chest and shoulders and upper body involved a little bit. So hinging hips back, staying as flat as we can. Good, so we sink those hips back, flat back and chest. Knees are as straight as we can keep them. They are going to bend, but we want to keep them straight to work those hamstrings. And we're walking all the way out into tall plank and all the way back in. So full body here, legs are working, core and upper body are also working hard. Seconds. We got one more full inchworm. Get all the way out there, lock in that tall plank, and walk it back. We're just going to walk down. We're going to start our next one in tall plank. So let's walk down here, get into that tall plank position, and then drop to the knees here. So we're going into tall plank with rotations. So if we want to take out the rotation and just focus on our tall plank, that'll be great. If you've got the rotation, let's go for that today. So we're up in our tall plank, nice stable base, twisting up to the sky. Follow your hand with your eyes if you can, into that full rotation for our upper body. We worked on mobilizing our shoulders and chest and rotator cuff in our dynamic block, and now we're using some of that now as we rotate and support ourselves on that strong arm here. And of course, we're holding tall plank if we need to, even for a bit to recover, before we bring back that full rotation. Last one, holding tall plank if you need to. Good. We're going to go flat on our back now. This is our leg lift and sit up or crunch combo. So grab a little bit of weight if you need it for the counterweight, but just focus on the crunch portion. So we start with that leg lift, and then we're going to go for the crunch or the extended portion. Try to keep those arms out to your side or overhead. Again, you could even just hold your water bottle or something as a little bit of a counterweight if we want it for that sit-up portion to help guide you. Otherwise, just a crunch is good. Focus on alternating leg lift and sit-up or crunch. So we're getting that core working hard. Good. We'll drop our counterweight. We're going to stay right where you are on the bridge, on the mat now. So another chance to use that small loop band if you want. Otherwise, we're focused on just bridging today. So we're flat on our back. Feet are flat. We're squeezing glutes and core to raise our hips up. Nice flat line from shoulders to knees. Again, if we've got that band on, we are driving knees outward against the band. We should be doing that anyway, right? But especially if we've got that band forcing our knees in, we want to make sure that we're squeezing those glutes. Kick the band out. Keep bridging, keep raising up here. Just gentle squeezes. No weight today, just really focused on owning the glute squeeze. Glutes are really getting a good fire up here as we pull and squeeze. Core is tucked in as well. Good. Great job. We are going to go ahead and go to our eccentric push-up portion. Again, so we're just doing the lowering portion of the push-up, feeling our back muscles, feeling our chest and shoulders really work. So we're starting in tall plank, 3 or 4 seconds to lower your chest and then reset. If you want to take the push-ups all the way, go right ahead. Again, we're just more focused on the movement today and the mind-muscle connection and what our body's doing. So up in tall plank, we hear the beep, slow lowering down to the mat, and then roll on back up and reset it. And of course, again, we can do this from our modified push-up position if we want. If we need to do that, we can still do that nice slow lowering. Otherwise, I encourage you to at least try from the tall plank and work on building classic push-up strength by doing the lowering portion nice and slow, making our chest work hard. Ten seconds, we got time for 1 or 2 more good ones. Nice and slow, all the way down, lower it. Reset for 1 more on the way down. Here we go, finish it up, get to the mat. Get that chest to the mat and relax. Great job. All right, upper body's tired from our push-ups and our tall planks. We're gonna get that loop band back on. We've got our round timer pause just briefly, just enough to get our loop band back into place, right above the knee for these clamshells. Just a few more left in our strength block before we go to our static stretch. So we've got our light loop band on, mini loop band, right around the legs. Feet and hips are together. We're supporting ourselves. Elbow and shoulder are stacked nicely, so we have a nice base to lean on here, and we're driving the knee up to the sky. So driving up against the band, big stretch on the band, feeling it right on the side of our hip there. If we don't have a band, that's okay. We're just working against gravity, so maybe we hold it at the top for another second or so, get a big squeeze. Feet just stay together. We're working up a little sweat now. We're working hard. Hope you guys are feeling good, getting some good stretching and mobility in here today. I know my hip's starting to fatigue a little bit here back there, so hopefully you guys can feel it. Those little glute muscles are working hard. Helps keep us stable, keep our hips stable when we walk, and all different kinds of things. So really working on these. Great clamshell movement for that section of our body on the side of our glutes there. So one more time, we're going to flip over to the other side. Same idea, so we're going to set our elbow and shoulder nice and stacked. Great there. Knees and heels are together and we're stretching up against the band or just pulling the knee up against gravity. If we have no band, that's okay. Just lifting the knee, we'll still feel it. I promise you're going to get a good pinch and recruitment there at that top of that hip. We should be feeling it right on the side of the hip. We can poke ourselves there and feel it. Really working on those little medial glutes for balance and support and a lot of other stuff. So big pulls against the band or just a big squeeze against gravity at the top. Pinch the muscle. Almost there. We got 2 more left in our strength block and then our stretch round and we're all set to go. Great job. Let's kick that band off. No more for the mini loop band. We are going to go to reverse lunge with a twist up on our feet. Again, we're alternating reverse lunges. Twist to your high knee side. And we take that reverse lunge, more just like a shallow step back and a twist. Go for the full reverse lunge if you want, but we're really just getting that foot back to make our plant leg in the front work hard. And we're challenging our balance, especially with that twist. So lower body's working, core is working as well. So we're twisting, shallow step, just enough pressure in the toe on that back foot to hold you up. One more, shallow lunge and twist. Let's get down into it and twist. All right, last one, we're getting our mat, our stomach to the mat. One more time for our Superman lifts. And we'll finish up with our stretching block. So we're down on our belly here. Last time through, Superman lifts, big squeezes, both arms and both legs. Squeeze glutes, squeeze shoulder blades. If we need to take the alternating arm and leg, go right ahead. You can mix it in, do both if you want. Just get one big squeeze as long as you can. Keep getting big squeezes here. Switch to the alternating if you need to. We're squeezing glutes, pulling shoulder blades back to lift us up off the ground, not arching that back. There's our last squeeze. Great job. Let's go ahead and sit right down on our mat here. Grab another quick drink if you need it. We are done with our strength and mobility portion. We are going to go for our static stretches now. So grab a quick drink. Static stretches, we're just holding. We did a little bit of our mobility to start, some strength building movements in the middle. So now our static stretches is just something that we're going to hold in place. So we just get a deep stretch, relaxing some of these body parts, and go from there. So we've got 5 different blocks that we work from. We'll do one on each side. So we're starting flat on our back, which is a classic knee pull. So we're flat on our back here, big knee, pull to our chest, and we're going to squeeze and hold. The opposite leg should be flat as we can possibly get it, right? So we're going to go ahead and hold it 45 seconds here. Thinking about our breathing, big breaths in and out. Slow inhales and exhales, focusing on really pulling our knee up to your chest. Opposite leg should be as relaxed as possible. Feel the back of your knee going into the ground if you can. Feeling our groin and our inner thigh separate a little bit. We did a lot of loosening on our inner thigh, so hopefully should feel loose there. 15 seconds. One more big breath in and out. As we exhale, we're really pulling that knee, really keeping our other leg flat to the ground as best you can. Keep holding it out. Exhale. And relax. Great job. So let's slowly extend that knee. Same thing on the other side. So we're going to pull this knee up, and we really want to focus on not only squeezing that, but the other leg should be as flat as we can get it. All right, so we got another big knee pull. Flat as we possibly can with the leg. Big breaths in and out. While we're pulling on the knee, we're really focused on relaxing the lower body. Big breaths in and out, 3 to 5 seconds. Inhale, nice and slow. Exhale as we squeeze, but also relax the opposite leg. So we should be actively trying to keep that leg flat against the ground while we pull the other knee. Feeling a really great stretch and separation on the inner thigh. 3, 2, and 1. Great job. We're going to sit up for our next one here. This is called our glute cross or glute pull. So we're going to sit here. One leg is on the opposite side of your body. So put that leg up over the other leg. So 2 options here. We do the twist. If you've got the mobility to get your elbow there and twist all the way around. Otherwise, we're just going to hug the knee and pull across. So my right knee goes to my left shoulder, pulling across our body. So we can start with that glute pull. There's our timer. So we're getting a good pull. Scoot your foot up as high as we can go. We're really pulling across your body. So we're feeling all this down here stretch really well. And if you've got it, once we get the glute pull for a while, if it opens up, we get that elbow there. And we can twist our torso some more, drive against our knee with the elbow. Either one works for you. If you like the glute cross pull better, this might get you a little bit deeper stretch. We're taking out our upper body twist a little bit, but we can get a more focused glute stretch. So if this is better for you to get a really nice deep pull, just go ahead and keep pulling. Your choice, either one works great. We got a few seconds left before we switch sides here. Good. Extend that. I'm just going to turn so I can stay facing the camera here. Now the same idea. Other leg is outstretched, flat across here. We're going to pull that across our body, opposite armpit. So I've now got my left knee bent. I'm pulling across to my right armpit, twisting my torso a little bit so I feel this really nice stretch down here. And of course, if you've got it, you drop the hand back, and we can make that full body torso twist stretch. Whatever you want to do, I'm going to focus on just pulling the glute across here. So feel like a little bit deeper stretch in my glute when I pull, and can really apply pressure on the knee up and across to stretch that right here. So 15 seconds or so left here. Keep holding and squeezing. Doing our best here. We're going to bring our large glute band back into play next round, or if you have your towel or a t-shirt, anything you've got, you may not need it for a hamstring stretch. I certainly do need it, so I will grab that. All right, there's our relax beat. So we're going to get our tall, long glute band back in here. We're doing a seated hamstring stretch. So you may be able to reach down to your toe and grab it and just stretch the hamstrings that way. I need a little assistance. So if you're like me, we've got this glute band and we're just pulling on it. So this will get a little bit of our calf stretched as well. And we're just going to sit here and pull this. So work your hands up the towel or the band. Keep your leg as flat as you can. Keep on pulling on that hamstring there. So again, as time goes on, you might be able to work those fingers up the band, get a little deeper stretch. I encourage you to try it. And maybe you are just really flexible and you can already get your hands way down to your toes. I'm jealous. Just keep dropping that chest down to your leg. We'll feel a nice deep hamstring stretch. Otherwise, we're holding on to our rope or your band or your towel. 10 seconds to go. One last time, walk those fingers up. Deep stretch on the hamstring. We're feeling it. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Great job. That's a really deep stretch for me on the calves and the hamstrings. Switching to the other side, same idea here. Outstretched leg, band has the tension, and we're pulling. Leaning forward. I'm a bit tighter on this side today. It's not cooperating. We're doing our best. Again, you can work your fingers up that band as best you can if you've got it. If you're already reaching your toes, you got nothing to worry about. We are stretching. 20 seconds to go. Stretching the calves, stretching the hamstrings. We are feeling it for the last 15 seconds. Work those fingers up your bend if you got it. A little bit farther. Less than 10 seconds to go. This hamstring is mad today. We got a few more positions to stretch and then we're ready to go. 2, 1, and relax. Great job. Hamstrings are relaxed for the day. We're going to go into our tabletop position for our last few. So in tabletop, we're kicking one foot out to your side for our adductor stretch. Finishing off that inner thigh stretch. So one leg is out, toe remains pointed forward on that leg. So then we sink back onto your hip, onto our heels, sink those hips back. We have a deep stretch here. So try and hold the stretch. If you need to come forward and reset the stretch a little bit, go ahead and do that. Do your best. Try and sink back, blow all the air out. We're really sinking, keeping that toe pointed forward. Deep stretch on the outstretched leg on the inside there of the thigh. 15 seconds. Reset it once more if you need to. Come forward. Big breath in. Blow all that air out. Sink back onto it one more time, stretching for the last 10 seconds here. Keep holding on. Sink it back. Blow all the air out. Almost there. Good. What we're going to do is just switch sides for that next one. So kicking the other leg out to the side. We're in our tabletop position still, except for that toe out and pointed forward there. So same idea, we're sinking back onto our heel, dropping those hips back, keeping our toe pointed facing forward on the outstretched leg. The farther we sink back, the deeper we stretch. So do the same thing, try and hold it. If you need to reset, just go ahead and sink back. Reset it, big breath in. As you sink back again, you exhale. 20 seconds to go. Exhaling, we're blowing all that air out as we're really sinking back onto that heel. One more time. Feeling the stretch on that outstretched leg, inner thigh. 7 seconds to go. Sink back, keep holding on. 4, 3, 2, 1, and nice job. Okay, for our last one, we're staying in tabletop position. Stretching our shoulder and our mid-back. So this is our thread the needle. We're in tabletop here. Just kick one hand forward, and we thread it through there. So that's our thread the needle. Sink down onto that shoulder. Walk your hand out as far as you can go. And we're exhaling all our air as best we can. Big breath in and out. Sinking onto that shoulder. We feel a stretch on our back. Rotation in our chest and shoulders. We're really stretching here. 20 seconds to go. Sink onto that shoulder. Outstretched arm way out in front of you there. Relaxing from our twisting and our rotations that we did today a little bit here. Almost there. We're ready to switch sides. 3, 2, 1. And there's our break. So let's slowly ease off of that. We got our last block. I'm going to twist around so I can stay facing the camera. Our last shoulder. Arm is going through the hole. So tabletop position. Arm kicked out in front. Dig through that hole. Get the hand way through there. Sink onto that shoulder. And here we hold for our last 30 seconds or so, really focusing on sinking down onto that shoulder. Drive through the hole. So we're feeling that big time stretch across our torso and our mid-back, that rotation, some of that stretching and mobilizing we worked on earlier through the class. Holding on here for another 15 seconds or so, really sinking down onto that shoulder. Final 10 seconds, blow all your air out. Last stretch. Great job. All right, that's the end of our timer. If you'd like to take a few more seconds stretching into our child pose here from our tabletop or anything like that, you can sink back, stretch those chest and shoulders out. Spend a few more minutes stretching hamstrings or any other positions that might have been tight for you. But that is all we've got for the timer for our class today. We did our 2 rounds of dynamic mobility. We did 2 rounds of our little bit of our strength portion, our bodyweight strength block. And we finish with our static stretches, 1 round, holding those muscles to relax them a little bit. So I hope you guys got a great stretch and a little bit of mobilizing workout today. So as always, guys, leave me a comment or a like below. Let me know what you enjoyed about class, some spots that you were tight, anything like that. I love hearing from you guys. So hope you enjoyed the class. If not, then you gotta let me know. We'll make changes. Other than that, we'll see you back here at the fitness center soon, hopefully. Other than that, we'll be here, same time, same channel here on YouTube with some classes for you guys. So this was Mobility and More. I'm Scott at Aspiria Fitness Center. We'll see you next time.